Hi, this is Dr. Mike, and our subject today is biotechnology, bioengineering, chapter number 18, and one in which I think as nurses you will have a great interest in because so many things now are dependent upon technology for cure, for health, for all kinds of things, for maintaining life support, those kind of issues. So I think it's important for us to spend a little time here. And I also encourage you to read the chapters. I've told you that these sessions are more for kind of whetting your appetite, getting you acclimated to the chapter, and then be able to move forward in understanding. So let me open our slides, and we will talk about bioethics and bioengineering, which I think will be something that you'll be very much interested in. Biotechnology and bioethics or bioengineering and biotechnology have a little bit of difference. The biotechnology is the manipulation of biological systems and organisms by the use of technology. It could be like a heart pump or something to make the heart beat regularly. That's important. Bioengineering is the use of biological science to design those machines and to alter biological systems. We have lots of therapies today that intervene, that help restore normal function to an organism that may be suffering from an impairment. Most common issue would probably be kidney dialysis. And interestingly enough, when kidney dialysis started, which is now an old technology, they started with a bathtub and plumbing parts, basically. And it's now become sophisticated enough that some people can do their kidney dialysis at home and save, it used to be 1 day a week, all day at a center, taking a great deal of time. We made some great advancements as a result of technology that provides better normal function. Of course, lasers have had a marked effect as well. I happen to be writing the biography of the founder of the discoverer of the laser, Dr. Charles Towns, who was from my hometown in Greenville, South Carolina. And his discovery has changed just about every aspect of science, from music to biology to chemistry to communications to everything you can think of. There's some laser component down to your microwave that's sitting in your kitchen. But all of this has a part of enhancing these technologies as they go forward to help you with a lot of different things. There are a lot of current issues today in this area, athletic and cognitive enhancement. You hear a lot about steroids, and you hear a lot about Ritalin and Adderall. You have children that are ADHD. There are some adults with ADHD that are on Ritalin and Adderall as well. Another area of importance is stem cell research that's being tested in regenerative medicine. I know that they've tried to help with Parkinson's disease by putting stem cells into the brain, hoping that they would spark new brain cells. Stem cells are the cells that are left over after birth, and they are unpunched, unignited, whatever you want to call it. You have all of these cells when you start with 1 cell and 2 cells, then 1 billion cells, and then the hormone that they're bathed in will cause them to turn on to 1 cell becoming part of the ear, one becoming part of the nose, all those things. And then you have all these cells left over that their button was never punched. And so the idea was that maybe you could take stem cells and find a way to make them produce a liver so that you could do a liver transplant without the problem of rejection. You know that anything that goes in your body that's not made for that body, you have to take anti-rejection meds the rest of your life. Recently, we transplanted the first pig's heart into a human, and they had enhanced the genetics to keep down this rejection. And it lasted about 6 weeks, and then the body rejected it, and of course the man died. But that's how we get started. That's how we learn. That's how we did with heart transplants. To begin with, I remember when Christian Bernard did the first human heart transplant in South Africa, of all places. And the first guy died. The second guy we heard about was Barney Miller in Utah, who got a mechanical heart that made this horrible noise. I don't know how you'd ever sleep with it in you. He lived about 6 weeks and had strokes and heart attacks and finally died. And then today, we have people that get heart transplants that you wouldn't even know they have a heart transplant because they don't advertise that. So basically, regenerative medicine is a big deal. Cloning We talk a little bit about in animals, but there are two kinds of cloning. Therapeutic cloning would be the ability to clone like a heart or liver or something using your stem cells that would not require the anti-rejection medicine. And then reproductive cloning, where you're going to make an entirely new human from one particular cell. Eugenics is another area we hear a little bit about today, heard a lot more about it in the 30s and 40s. It was the science of finding ways to improve the genetic components of a species. Americans were the ones that Adolf Hitler got the idea from when he started doing the master race. That's what we were doing in the 20s, trying to find ways to control birth defects. And he took it, of course, and took it in a kind of a sinister direction. Well, are these things moral? Are they immoral? Is it wrong to tamper with fate or whatever? Those are the questions you have to kind of wrestle with when it comes to discussing ethics on this subject. The Human Genome Project is probably one of the largest. We have now mapped the entire genetic makeup of the whole human system, and we can tell which gene on which chromosome controls which part of the body. And so now they can look at your genome and see if you have any factors. One of the things that I found most interesting was the fact that there is a group of people that are resistant to the HIV/AIDS virus. And every one of them, when you look at their genome, had an ancestor back in the 1300s that managed to survive the Black Death. And the antibodies for Black Death also work against HIV/AIDS. And so what they're trying to do is take the antibodies from those who have them and generate a synthetic so they can give a shot and maybe prevent people from getting HIV. The other thing we hear a great deal about, you see it in your grocery store, and you may not realize what it is or understand it, but that's genetically modified plants and animals, the non-HGMO. You see that stamp. It means that they have not been genetically modified. Modifying the genes of a plant or an animal has a particular benefit. Usually it will yield heartier foods with greater nutritional value. But there are some potential risks that are tied to human beings and ecosystems. For instance, I attended Clemson University. I'm a graduate there twice, but they are a farm college, agricultural college, and they have literally billions of dollars worth of patents that they own on plants and things like that. Their latest one's a little weird. It is growing corn in which the pesticide is in the corn so that worms won't eat it. And so, but the question is, would you want to eat something a worm wouldn't eat? Which is kind of scary. But one of the interesting things about HGMO corn, most Hispanics who use a lot of tortillas will not use HGMO modified because it doesn't have any taste to it. So they sacrifice taste and everything else, trying to get more yield. But you find a lot of that different things in the Human Genome Project. Some of you may have turned your DNA in to be analyzed to find out, who your relatives are. And it's just interesting. I get stuff all the time from people. I'm your sixth cousin. I'm your fifth cousin. I'm your first cousin once removed, all this stuff. Because you're able to do that now that we know which genes to look for. But genetically plant and animals, all these risks are really, a problem. And we get accused many times of playing God and doing things that we shouldn't be doing. There's also athletic and cognitive advancement between, the helping someone artificially to be able to play sports or doing all those things, which really is an issue. In cloning, the ethical issue would be problems of like creating creatures, or that it goes against human nature, that people are unique individuals and we start making them wholesale, they lose their unique values. And so you get, even within your family, would you want to have a clone of yourself? That's pretty, everybody flippantly says, oh yeah, I'd love to have another me, until they think about what that would do to their family, and then they start backing up and backing away from it. There's a lot of legal issues that come about today from genetic engineering, genetic screening, genetically modification. All those things have something to be talked about that needs to be considered when it comes to biogenetics and bioengineering. So as you look at this chapter today, give some thought to this, whether what you think is a good idea, a bad idea, whether you agree with it or not, and do it in your reflections and your speaking for the materials. Be sure to incorporate the things that you said. Listen to the TED Talks and things of that nature. Do remember that the TED Talks may not be one-on-one grouped at the end of the course where you've got a TED Talk for each thought, but they are thoughts that we have looked at, thought about through the course of the term. And I know that they're important for us to listen to. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.